again, everybody. Welcome to this week's MPTV Coaches Show. Ryan Wiley, Brian Dieters. Why don't we start with football? It was kind of a tough loss at Pekin last weekend. But, I mean, Limestone's coming up, which is a game, obviously, Potters are expected to win. And it's all about finding a way to that path to 5 wins.
Middle is tough.
Yeah.
You know, you had tough games. Pekin is a tough team, a formidable opponent on the road. And, you know, it was a tough loss for the guys, as you said. But now it's focusing on homecoming week. The week after, seems like we have an opportunity for 2 wins. And that gets us to 5.
That would get us to 5.
That's a pretty big number in football, as you know.
Yeah. Playoffs, right? I mean,
playoffs.
And yeah, I've heard that. It's Jim Mora. But yeah, I mean, the key is, and I think it's fair to say, right, the expectation is to beat Limestone and beat East Peoria the week after. But then it sets up Dunlap and Washington where you're playing them, you're in the playoffs, but you're playing them for playoff positioning.
100%. So, you know, I think our guys have a really good chance to be looking at, are we going to be 5-4? Are we going to be 6-3? Can we even get to the 7-2? That's obviously the best situation that would be there, but a lot to play for still.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of postseason, let's talk about a group that's already in postseason, which is both our boys and girls golf team. Let's start with the girls. They actually have played their regional and did advance to the sectional. Morgan Robinson had a PR at a 79.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, like, girls are in great position, and the boys are probably playing as we speak, actually.
That's right. So we're in postseason time for golf, both boys and girls. Girls are obviously doing great. Best of luck to you next week. And the guys, as we're discussing things, are hopefully hitting them straight and hitting them far.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and good luck to them. Obviously, we'll talk maybe a little bit about what's behind us is soccer. Soccer had a big win over East Peoria, and if you see the score right now, it's 5-0. If you're watching this as if it's live, It's not. But I mean, the thing is, right? Soccer. I feel like they're in that. You said it before, right? Tough games at the end of the year for them, very similar to football, but. It feels good to get a couple W's before you lead into those Dunlap and Washington games.
Yeah, and they had a very successful tournament in the Quad Cities recently, and then they came back and took care of business in one of the weaker opponents, if I'm being honest, in the Mid-Illini, but Dunlap and Washington away, and those are going to be the big testers for the conference, but then the postseason is really just around the corner here as we've now reached October.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about a sport that we don't always get a ton of information on, which is swim dive, because it is the co-op. But I talked to Maya Happel, who's one of our Morton kids on the co-op swim team. And I first just asked Maya to kind of sum up the season, and then we went from there with the interview. So let's go ahead and watch that.
Okay, so honestly, the season has been going really good. I mean, our teammates have been doing awesome, and it's just been so fun being able to race other teams, like during my junior season. I'm almost going to be a senior next year, but it's actually been really, really good.
Awesome. And then obviously you do get to work with the EP and the Washington kids as well. Just kind of talk about the whole co-op experience and working with kids from the other schools.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's so awesome. I know a lot of kids from club team, and so being able to swim with them on my high school team is really good. And the fact that we have the opportunity to co-op with other teams is just it's awesome.
And then talk a little bit about, obviously, our other Morton kids. I mean, obviously, you've had a great year, but who else has been, kind of the Morton kids that have really helped this year?
Yeah, okay, so we have Maddie Parrott. She just announced her commitment to St. Ambrose, which I'm really proud of her for. Obviously, my sister swims as well. She's been doing really good. She's a long-distance swimmer. We have our diver as well, Ava Ray, she's magnificent. She's so good. And then we have some of our younger classmen, which would be Anna Hartzell, Audrey Seafried, Addison Izzo, Rose Lorenz, but they've all been super good this season.
Awesome. And then just kind of maybe for people that, because sometimes I feel like we don't get as much info because it is a co-op. What do you have coming up? Any big meets or anything like that?
So this weekend is obviously homecoming, but we do have an invite at Richwoods, and it is going to be a big meet because a lot of teams do come from Chicago as well. But I think for the rest of the season, some meets to look out for would definitely be conference and sectionals, and possibly at sectionals we'd be able to go to state.
Awesome. And then I guess that leads to my next question. What are the goals for this season? Is state the goal, kind of?
So I feel my personal goal would be, I got some records this year, which has been awesome to be able to put my name on a board, but also the fact that we do have a bigger opportunity for more people to come to state this year than we did last year, so it's going to be really exciting.
Awesome. Thank you.
So the key thing that I take away, and we kind of knew this, but the key thing I take away from it is I asked her to kind of name the Morton kids that play a big role, and I think she named 10 kids or something,
Right. that our school is making a presence on this
Yeah,
co-op team,
yeah.
and that's obviously exciting. We're really proud of that. Now, as you know, we've both been around here for a while. I've been around here for a really long time, and I can remember when we would occasionally have a kid who would, on an individual basis, find somebody to support them, sponsor them to get into the IHSA competition, and now here we are with the team setting and so
Yeah.
many kids doing great. So great interview, and it's great to see the growth of swimming and diving.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited for that. Another group that I'm still excited about is our volleyball team. Now they had kind of a tough loss last week, but they come back with some big games this week. Obviously, I mean, it'll probably have occurred by the time you're watching this, but obviously the Washington match. Canton, probably a game or a match, to use the volleyball parlance, that we're expected to win. But it's kind of similar. I mean, I feel like we've talked about it, kind of a similar part of the season for every sport, but it's that idea of you're building to your postseason now.
When you look at a sport like volleyball, baseball
Yeah.
in the spring, softball,
Yeah.
soccer to an extent, there are a lot of games. And the season has its ups and downs. And honestly, I can recall many times having successful, good, strong teams, which we clearly have a volleyball team that fits that characteristic. It's not such a bad thing to have maybe a little bit of a hiccup. It makes you refocus as you're getting ready for the stretch, which I know that these girls are certainly eager to get back to, high levels of opportunities to advance in the state tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the challenge is, right, that you get into this area that is just extremely deep, and you've obviously got a Limestone that went to state last year, but you've also got teams like a Dunlap or like a Washington that maybe on paper don't have as strong records, but certainly have strong players, and on any given night can knock you off.
The conference is deep and strong in so many sports, and volleyball certainly fits that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just kind of, before we're done, talk a little bit about cross country. It seems like every time we have a meet, we take home a trophy for both boys and girls varsity and boys and girls frosh off. I think obviously it's a credit to the kids that we got out there running, but it's also at this point, I think Coach Zeller has just built a machine with this program.
I mean, that's a big thing of what running is. It's
Yeah.
that constant grind,
Yeah.
it's that repetition, it's that discipline, and they cherish that, they embrace that. So he's obviously done a great job.
And I think it's cool this year, he's added some coaches to his coaching staff. So because they always have a ton of kids, right? A lot of times it was just him and maybe one assistant or at the most two assistants. He's got 5 assistant coaches
Right.
this year, a lot of them in a volunteer capacity, but it just shows the building of the program, not just with number of kids, but number of coaches that want to be involved in more cross country.
100% for sure.
Yeah, and then wrapping up with a little bit of tennis. They're more tennis, is a little bit more like golf. It's not quite to the postseason yet, but it comes up quick here. Whereas soccer, volleyball, all those other sports are a few weeks away. Tennis is not too far away from their postseason. Obviously, some of that's weather oriented. A lot like golf, it's hard to play tennis if you get caught in like early October snow or something.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
But it's a big deal for them to get ready.
Big deal. Here we go again with another opportunity for some runs here in the tournament with some of our kids that are on the tennis court. And I think we've talked about how we're going to try to get one of them at least on to give us more info.
Yeah, Chloe Kendall, who went to state last year, obviously has continued to excel this year. So we're hopefully going to find.
We're going to find you, Chloe.
Yeah, we're going to find the time to get Chloe to be interviewed and talk. Not obviously to talk about her success, but the team as a whole as well, which has been really successful this year. And just, honestly, I feel like we say it every week, but this has been a fantastic fall. And now it's just about keeping it up as we get into these postseasons. The golf teams have started it. Tennis will kind of go next. And then hopefully we see soccer and volleyball and football, swim, dive, all those teams have the postseason success that equals cross country. Don't want to forget about them. They're a state contender as well.
Right.
Boys have been ranked in the top 2 all year according to the state rankings. So have some postseason success too.
Hey, the calendar has now reached double digits. The trees are changing
Yes.
color. It's time for the postseason fun, and the fall's been, as you said, fantastic for the vast majority of our sports. So we'll see how we end up.
Absolutely. So we'll be back next week with some updates, obviously, especially on golf postseason getting started. We'll try to give you a preview, a little bit of tennis, and then obviously update everything else as well. homecoming game this Friday night. If you can't make it out to Carper Field, that is available on MPTV and the NFHS network. Lou Smith calling play-by-play. I will be along as the analyst.
Thought you would be.
I will be. So, again, if you can't make it to Carper Field, Lou and I would love to have you tune in. But if you can't, or excuse me, if you would prefer to go out there, we won't hold it against you, is the way I think I'll say
That's
it.
fair.
Yeah. So, for Brian Dieters, I'm Ryan Lindley. Goodbye.